Welcome to Switch Hitter. I'm Troy Mothershead. Today we are going to ride a Yater Specializer Nose. This board specifically is quite special. It is owned by Chuck Ames. It was shaped by Renny. I think in my opinion, it nose rides well, but it's actually, like, from a nose riding perspective, the whole board works really functionally. We've often surfed this board with an Apocalypse in it, and that was mostly, I think, time and place at True Ames, where we brought the Apocalypse back and we were just like so enamored with that fin. But what we brought today was actually the Yater Spoon and the Yater Classic, because I think it's a really nice, interesting sort of two ends of the spectrum comparison of how fins can work. This is the Spoon. This is probably one of the most iconic fins in the True Ames lineup, maybe one of the most iconic fins ever. Renny made this thing for the Spoon, maybe even like slightly pre-Spoon, and then it just became the fin for the Spoon. This is mid-60s, but essentially it's a D-fin, right? Per Renny, they just started taking, slowly taking more area out of the back of the fin and giving it a little bit more curve. And inevitably, it was just allowing turning. It was allowing the board to actually kind of loosen up, give it some freedom back here to, turn itself and be more loose. I think in today's world, right, where we've gone fully high aspect and really dialed in the curvature of a fin, this thing kind of lives more in, the nose riding fin realm. I mean, it's just a lot of surface area. It's going to feel a bit like an anchor. It's going to feel a little big back in there. It's really hard to find that middle balance between nose riding and tail surfing. And I think that, in this case, if we're like, hey, we really want to go get some tip time, the Yater Spoon is a good call to throw in there and lock that tail down. But because it does, have a nice little curve to it, and this trailing edge has got some relief, like, it's still going to turn. It's just going to, feel a little bit more stiff and potentially drivey. I think that it'll be really cool to ride this in there, because I actually haven't done that yet. My word for this fin after that was grounded. I think this fin actually just kind of paired really nicely with it. And, the fin's also like slightly farther forward maybe than, you can't move this thing in the box very much. So kind of where it sits, I would say you might want this thing a little bit further back, and then it would feel slightly more anchored. But it felt like really lively, and even on the tail, I could push and like get it to go. Like, it didn't really hold it back. But that being said, you know, this was the step one. Rode this fin first, so I'd imagine, like, you know, put the Classic in here and then put this back in and probably feel a bit more anchory. Altogether though, if this was like the fin that you chose to ride with this board on the daily, I think you'd be stoked. Like, probably didn't get as deep or like critical of as a hang 10 as I would have hoped, but I would say it was less the board and more the waves, like just not finding one that had a really clean little like tight pocket. Kind of need the little inside runner, and I only found a couple of those, but in general, like, only furthered my love for the surfboard. Renny, nice work. All right, on to the Classic. The other fin we brought today is the Yater Classic. This is, I don't know, probably one of the most widely used fins out there, second to the 4A and skip fry potentially. It's got actually really similar curves to the 4A when you place the templates, kind of, you know, fudge the templates a little bit, and you get to see how George and Renny were probably concepting these shapes. Yeah, this is just like a really balanced, super awesome all-arounder for a longboard. I brought a 10-inch in comparison to the 975 of the Spoon because there's just so much less back here compared to the Spoon. But I anticipate this fin still allowing the board to nose ride. Like at 10 inches, there's enough rudder back there that, you know, it's still gonna provide tip time. But because, you know, there's less area in the back of the fin, it's more upright, it's more tapered, we're definitely gonna loosen up the tail and allow it to pivot a little bit more with still some drive. And so I think, you know, those swoopy, really kind of free turns, maybe even a little flick here and there if you want to, just because you're gonna be able to sort of control that little loose feeling, you know, so just a little bit more flicky, you know, feel that swing weight even of the nose potentially a little bit more. So I think that this will be feeling slightly more free and fun. All right, Yater Classic. We're going with this word theme. I would say it felt slashy. Like I could, when I went into a cutback, I could really like get it to kind of get up on more of the top of the fin and almost get that little bit of like loose, releasey feeling, you know, not like letting the fin completely go, but definitely felt more like I was edging towards my high performance longboarding days. Like this board is amazing. It just like has so much flow to it. There really isn't a dead spot in it. And so I think that with that, like this fin kind of gives you the edge towards, again, like more edgy surfing, more like, you know, just kind of get that little like slash, more, slightly more hot doggy, especially compared to the Spoon that I would say like almost felt like it fit into the board a little bit more seamlessly. There were a couple moments where, you know, this fin, either like I maybe got too aggressive, got a little stuck, or there was a moment where I was hanging 10 and I got a little too deep and the fin kind of caught on me and I wasn't able to correct it and I fell. So, you know, like a little limitation in that regard. But I think if, you know, what we were going after was, hey, can you get this board to kind of loosen up off the tail and really get back there? And you can, like, I mean, I think the narrowness of this tail, the way that it pulls in, yeah, this board will really let you like kind of push into something. So that was a really cool feeling to get to see, you know, the board design. And I think that's a big part of the fins. Like the fin should be an extension of the board design. It should be able to highlight like different features of it and bring stuff out, right? So if the spoon was kind of anchoring it all together, giving a little more nose riding, then this fin was bringing out the potential for the board to turn and maybe have a little bit more aggressive line, you know, in certain parts of the wave. So yeah, pretty fun to experiment with them both back and forth.